I will never buy an entry rug again. About 5 years ago, I was living in an apartment complex in the heart of New York City. I was living alone at the time, my family was in Rhode Island, and since I was new to the area, I didn't have many friends. My apartment was small, but it was more than enough. The neighborhood was pretty dysfunctional. Crossing the street used to cause me stress, but now it was nothing. The bus station was only a short walk away, and I could use it to get anywhere. After working at the publishing house for about 2 years, I had to leave. I recently bought some shelves, some wall decorations, and a welcome mat for the entrance to my apartment. It was a fleecy mat with a rainbow on it and a white welcome sign underneath. The day of the incident went as usual. I woke up for work, did what I had to do, and came home. I didn't go to a club or a bar that night. The place I lived was relatively quiet for me, and a few times I had to fend off solicitation. I always kept my door closed. To be honest, I was pretty pissed off that night. Music was playing in the apartment above me, and the couple in the next room were enjoying their relationship a little too loudly. It was a little after 8 in the evening, and I was watching something on TV. Suddenly, I heard a faint knocking sound. I immediately stood up, panic gripping me. Who could be knocking on my door at this hour? The police? Maybe a neighbor? I quietly walked to my door and crept over to look through the peephole. I saw a little girl. She was no more than 9 years old. I opened the door. I was more worried about her than myself.
Hello. Little girl. Are you looking for someone? Is someone walking with you?
I can't find my mom.
She snorted and wiped her eyes. She was wearing a simple red coat, drenched from the rain outside. I looked around each end of the hallway and saw no one else. I knelt down to be closer to her height.
When was the last time you saw her?
She was here, but then she left.
She kept talking, but the words came out slurred.
It's okay, look, we'll find her. Do you know a phone number we can call?
She nodded and wiped her face once more.
Let's go inside.
I quickly rushed into the bathroom to grab a towel. She was standing in the center of the living room watching TV. I handed her the towel and grabbed my phone.
I'm Michael. What's your name?
I'm Sarah. I'm calling my mom.
She said in her little voice. I held out my cell phone to her, which she quickly took, dialing the numbers. After a few minutes, she spoke in another language that I knew enough about to realize it was some kind of Asian language. She turned to me as I held out the water to her.
What is this place?
She asked.
Shallow Reed Apartments. I'm from Unit 5. First floor.
I clarified. She spoke to the person on the phone again. She was silent for a moment, looking around the room as if someone might have been eavesdropping on her. She glanced briefly into my eyes and then looked away. I felt a little uncomfortable. Even though this girl could do me absolutely no harm, I was still a little on edge. It took a few moments before Sarah handed my phone back to me.
She'll be here soon,
she said to me, looking down at the floor. I looked at my phone, wondering if I should report this to the police. Yes, her mother was on her way. But why was she missing in the first place?
Why did you knock on my door and not the door of the block? Sorry. The first door in the hallway.
Your carpet.
My carpet?
It has a rainbow on it. No one else has rainbows.
She said it simply, like it was obvious.
How did you and Mom break up?
I asked her in the calmest tone I was capable of. She didn't answer, just continued to stare at the floor. Her gaze darted to the TV as the opening theme of the news played.
Can you change it?
She asked. Of course. It was unexpected that she asked me that. But then again, I don't think the news is the most popular children's program. I found the remote and turned on a children's program with a family of blue Hylers. Figured it would be better than the nightly news. She wasn't in the mood for long conversations anyway. The sooner she gets out of here, the better, I thought. About 5 minutes passed, and there was a hurried knock on the apartment. I immediately got up and rushed to the door. When I opened it, I saw a woman clutching a red cloak. Sarah shouted after me.
Mom.
I quickly stepped aside as the woman walked past me and into the house. I held the door open, expecting them to leave soon. The mother spoke to Sarah in the same language I had heard on the phone.
She arrived about 10 minutes ago. But she hasn't said anything.
I said, but Mother didn't seem to realize if she heard me or not.
Do you mind if we use your restroom? She has a cut on her arm and I want to wash it,
said Mom.
Oh, sure. It's down the hall and to the left. The first aid kit is in the closet.
I pointed her in the direction. My bedroom was directly across the hall. She led her daughter into the bathroom, peering into my bedroom with unwarranted curiosity. By this time, they had looked all over the apartment. I didn't remember any scratches on the baby. But I didn't examine her either. While they were in the bathroom, I went to switch the TV but couldn't find the remote. This struck me as a little odd, since I had put it in the same place as before. Good thing everything is digital these days. So I opened the TV app on my phone and switched it from there. When I changed the channel to news, I was greeted with a video of a house fire that happened earlier that day. Well, I didn't miss the entire evening newscast. I could hear them whispering fiercely in the bathroom, which didn't surprise me. I'm sure the mom was reprimanding the child, but I got the impression that the cause was lack of adult supervision, not the child. But I'm not going to get involved.
And the last report for today is a local alert from the police department. We're looking for a group of individuals wanted for home invasion and murder.
The screen flashed several images of men who looked similar to each other, none of them standing out in any particular way. They all wore black masks and had lean figures. They were breaking into homes and stealing electronics, jewelry, and anything else that could be easily sold. What happened next made my stomach rumble.
During the last attack, the homeowners installed a camera system that captured everything that happened on tape.
A man in a bright red raincoat appeared on the TV screen. The recording was accompanied by audio and subtitles. I can't find my mom. I felt the blood rush from my face and quickly turned down the volume on the TV, looking around to make sure no one was there. The bathroom light was still on, but the whispering had stopped. I turned to the screen again. The commercial had fast-forwarded, and the same woman in my bathroom appeared on the screen. I quickly dialed 911, turned off the TV, and, keeping my eyes on the bathroom, rushed to the front door. Just as I was about to grab the handle, there was a heavy knock on the door. I froze in place, my finger hovering over the call button. A woman's voice came from the bathroom.
That must be my brother. He's driving us home. Tell him we'll be right out.
Sure. Let me just turn off the oven,
I replied. Panic gripped me and I slowly locked the door. I even grabbed the mail to make a makeshift deadbolt out of it. As I was shoving it under the door, the man knocked again. I jumped back and tiptoed into the bedroom. There was another knock on the door. I held my breath as I passed the bathroom. But neither the girl nor the woman made a sound. I closed the door behind me and called 911.
911, what's your emergency?
My house has been broken into. It's people from.
I was interrupted by a sharp bop. They were breaking down the front door.
They broke into my house,
I whispered. I stepped away from the door.
Sir, where are you?
The people breaking down the door were screaming, smashing my stuff and God knows what else. I knew my door wouldn't hold long enough for the police to arrive and something had to be done. Without thinking, I ran to the only window in my room. I heard a woman crying. She was crying for help, screaming that they were going to kill her, that if I didn't help, they would kill her baby. I opened the window and pushed the netting out of the frame. The walls shook as someone started pounding on my bedroom door. I leaned out the window, but my hand was firmly caught in the collar of my shirt. Someone was standing outside waiting. I dropped the phone as it hit the floor. I heard the 911 operator yelling into the receiver. Hands were around my throat before I could react. The man sitting on top of me lowered his entire weight onto my thighs, wrapped his arms around me, and pulled me to him. I struggled in his grip. I didn't even have time to panic. All I could do was react. I'll never forget the look in his eyes, the utter contempt for humanity. I saw, still see, the smile stretching his lips. I saw myself in his black eyes. I tried to fight off his hands, tried to scratch his face. My head was splitting and my vision was getting darker and darker. I couldn't hear him, but I could see him leaning closer and closer to my face. I finally broke free, and leaving the man behind me, I ran. I ran as fast as I could and didn't look back. I ran across the street and started screaming at the top of my lungs for help. There were several businesses there, one of them was a pizza place that still had lights on. I ran up to their door and yanked it open, quickly finding the lock on the glass door and turning it. The employees immediately started yelling at me, probably preparing to defend themselves. I turned to face them and they stopped trying to chase me away when they saw the dark red handprints on my neck. From that point on, everything around me was like a blur. Eventually the pizza place called the police where I was able to give them more information and the police cars arrived a few minutes later. By the time they arrived no one was in my apartment. And even with the officers around I was afraid to go inside. A team arrived to take samples of everything they could think of. They swabbed the blood of the man who got on top of me and took pictures of everything. My apartment was a complete disaster, everything they couldn't take they trashed. The cops took me to the station to make an official statement and I told them about Sarah and the woman who came to see me. A few hours later they gave me an update. They had found a man matching the description I had given them. I asked the police why they came after me. They asked if I had a firearm, which they should have known the answer to, but I told them I didn't. They told me that the other houses they were suspected of breaking into had something in common. The first family they attacked worked closely with the local church, another house was just an apartment of college students, and the last house that the woman's surveillance footage had gotten into was a family that hadn't yet obtained citizenship in the States. It didn't take long to realize that none of these people owned guns or would have refused to help the girl. All of us were chosen as easy prey. Since then I've moved, taken a few self-defense courses, and even bought myself a gun that I touch once a year to go to the shooting range. I jump up every time I hear a knock on the door. But I'll be ready for them to come visit me again. At least, that's how I felt when I got home today and there was a red cape hanging on the doorknob.